Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Zengkong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Thupten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar, and the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Homage to the main deity of the good practice tonight, from the glorious copper-colored mountain Pure Land, Guru Padmasambhava. Sumo, Danzen Gatso, Thupten Siddhi, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, all disciples present here and over the internet. Good evening, everyone. How do you do?
I stayed. Hola, amigo. ¿Qué quiero mucho? Scoin. Ichiban. Kimochi. Jumi. Yapi. Pirin. Konbanwa.
Good evening, everyone. In the past, Guru Padmasambhava once said, as long as you respect the Guru, treasure the Dharma, and practice diligently, and you chant his epithet or name or heart mantra, then Guru Padmasambhava will appear in front of you. He has said that. He will appear right in front of you. Just now, when we practice his Dharma, Guru Padmasambhava appeared in the sky. And his Pure Land is the copper-colored mountain Pure Land. Oh, it's called Kamaradipa. And originally he was from Kashmir. So it was manifested from there. And then through the invitation by King Trizong Dechen, he was in Tibet for 50 years. So he was like that. So Tibetan Tantrayana originated from Guru Padmasambhava. And Guru Padmasambhava, although he was the founder or the leader of the Nyingma Pa, of the Red sect, but he's highly revered by all 4 sects of Tibetan Buddhism. And before the Dharma teaching, I would first like to share a joke, or maybe 2. A native told his chief that Big Bro, tomorrow is the first day of the lunar month and we have to eat vegetarian food. But we are cannibals, so what should we do? And then the chief replied, don't worry, there are a lot of people in vegetative state. In Chinese it's called a vegetable person or vegetated person. The second joke. Why, when you're old, how come you don't have the feeling of excitement where your heart beats? In Chinese, it's like the little deer jumping all over, and the deer, after jumping so much, probably died. So just now we watch what D.B. Boye produced on the latest book, Immaculate Thought or Utterly Pure Contemplation. Perhaps when you heard the title of the book, that you may think that what I wrote there is about those little deer jumping everywhere. Even just the title of the book, some people already make wild guesses. Oh, Grandmaster is talking about his romance again. But I'm a monk in my 70s. The little deer is dead long ago. The deer's been dead long ago. But you're looking at me. Do I still have that immaculate thought? Yes. Is it the Buddhist kind of thoughts, or is it the kind of thoughts of the little deer, or the, fast heartbeats? You cannot mix them up. So now we move on with the topic of question and answer. Homage to the most beloved and precious lineage root Guru, Living Buddha Lian Sheng. In the book Heavens Beyond the Heavens, there is an article about the pure goddess. So what is the meaning of that? Could you please advise us? The youthful goddess, the superb youthful goddess. So let me talk about the dialogues with the youthful goddess. How come you know so much? And she replied, I'm the consort of Kalachakra. And I asked, wow, that's incredible. As a consort, you have such attainments? And she replied that Kalachakra is an emanation of Sakyamuni Buddha. And I asked, can you tell me the unexcelled pith instruction? And she replied, the correct or the divine knowledge. And then I asked, what is realization or enlightenment? And she replied, absolute, not dualism, non-dual, which means no dualism. And this Lianhua Ya Ye paid homage and asked, what is the profundity of this non-dual? And the answer is non-dualism. So no non-dual, that means it's one, right? Single, mono. So just one answer, no second answer. What is the profundity of it? Now let me ask everyone. If you answer this question, how do you answer this question? Any master or the virtuous one, the virtuous master, the virtuous reverend, and any others? No relatives, no relatives. No relativity, absolute. Emptiness. That form and emptiness are no different. Anything else? That everything is natural and unspeakable. All of them is correct. So that's the answer to Lianhua Ya Yue. So you heard it, right? Thank you. So we have lots of high noble and virtuous ones here, bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, upasaka, upasikas that have reached a very high realm in their spiritual cultivation. So have you heard Lianhua Ya Yue? That would be fine then. Next question from Taiwan. Lianhua Tong. What is this? Tong.
叫做莲花东，它只有3个字，叫莲花东。
So his name or her name, his name is only 3
我记得好像这个
characters,
相关
莲
的
花
一个
洞。
记者到了这个北极访问那些企鹅。
There's a joke. There's a reporter that went to the North Pole interviewing the penguins that was lined up on a line. So he asked the first one, "What do you do every day?" And the penguin replied, "Sleeping, eating, and then hit dong dong." Hit dong dong is kind of like it can do anything. Basically, it can apply to anything. And then the second one, and finally everyone replied the same one except the last one. "How come you didn't say hit dong dong?" And he replied, "Because I am dong dong." Dong dong is like things in Chinese, which can mean anything. So you're the one that was beaten, huh? 莲花洞.
请问师尊，如果一位有一半真佛传承，
If there's someone with half true Buddha lineage and half
修行者
Tibetan Buddhism,
相应的内法也有成就，
a spiritual cultivator with the lineage half true Buddha school, half Tibetan Buddhism,
如果
and he has gained spiritual response in his practices and has attainments in his inner tantric practices, but he was not a master
一半是
of true Buddha school,
传承的
but he starts to receive disciples, can we give him a lineage?
修法相应了，
So his
内法
half
也有成就了，
his lineage, half is true Buddha school,
他
half is
变成是
Tibetan,
生活中
and he has gained spiritual response from his practice
是否
and
可以
also
对方
has
生活传承？
attainments in his inner tantric
我
practices,
要先问，
but he's not a master
是比丘还是比丘尼吗？
conferred by true Buddha school. Is this
是在
person
家居士
an
还是在
ordained
家居士？
monk or nun? Is he or a she?
他说，
And
一般
is
是
it a
生活
lay
传承，一般
practitioner?
是
He didn't say it
这个上
clearly
传
here.
传承。
He
他
just
修
said
法
half
相应了，内法也有
and
成
half
就了。
and has spiritual, has gained spiritual union and fruitions in inner tantric practices.
什么
Let me
人
ask you another
证明
question. Who
他
has
修法相应？
proven that he has gained spiritual response or spiritual
什么人
union
证
in his
明
practice?
他内法已经
Who
有
has
成就了？
confirmed that he has fruition in his inner tantric practices?
什么人证明他内法也有成就了？
Who has
由谁来证明？
confirmed it that he has attainments?
不是你嘴巴讲的。
It's not based on what you said.
说我已经这个已经相应啦
You，can say, "Oh, I've gained spiritual union
那么我内法已经有成就
and
了，
my inner tantric practices have
就可以
fruition.
收徒弟了。
Now I
不
can
是这样子。
become a guru to my disciples." No, that's not the case.
我以前讲过，
In the past,
我
I
们
said
所有的上师都是出家的上师，
all of our Dharma masters are
出
ordained,
家的比丘跟比丘尼，
ordained monks
你
and
已
nuns,
经出家的10年以上，
and you have to have
你就
been
可以收
a
徒弟。
monk or a nun for over
比丘
10
比丘
years.
你已经出家10
Then
年
you
以上，
can
有
accept
人要来皈依你，
people
你
as
就
your
可以收他
disciples.
做徒弟。
So if you have been a monk or nun for over 10 years
但是
and
你的
someone wants to take refuge in
这
you,
个法
yes,
号
you can accept them.
我们以前的法号是莲花，
Our Dharma
第一
names
个是莲跟
start
莲花，
with the character Lian,
第二个是
which
什么
means
意？
lotus.
是公。
And the second one is Gong, which means respect. In my opinion, Grandmaster has taken refuge in many gurus. Gurus from Mahayana Buddhism, like the Master In Xun, Master Le Guo, the Venerable Le Guo, the Venerable Tao An. They were gurus to whom I took refuge in. Gurus from Mahayana Buddhism, and I have several from Tantric Buddhism, some that belong to Tibetan Tantrayana or the Eastern or Japanese Tantrayana. I have taken refuge in several of them. And the lineage includes Tibetan Tantrayana, Japanese Tantrayana, and Mahayana. They're all there. So if you have a lineage from you already have lineage from Tibetan Tantrayana, Japanese Tantrayana, and Mahayana, and now you're saying that you have half from the Tibetan lineage. Which one? But I have lineage from Nyingma, which is through the Venerable Monk Liao Ming, and for Kagyupa is from His Holiness the 16th Karmapa, and for Gelugpa it's through Master Dupten Dorji, and for the Sakya sect is through Master Sakya Zengkong or the Zhong Rinpoche. And yet you still take refuge in other Sadaka from Tibetan Buddhism. Of course you can take refuge, however, which one? Which is your true lineage? If you're an ordained person, then you can accept people as your disciples. If you are an ordained person that has been for over 10 years, then you can accept disciples. And if you have the true Buddha school lineage, then your disciples should have the Dharma name starting with Gong, the character, Chinese character Gong, which means respect. Now this is clear, right? So that you need a true spiritual union and true attainments in your inner tantric practices. You don't have to be granted the title of a master or acharya. That's just a ritual. That's just in the name. There are many upasaka and upasikas, the lay practitioners, who have attainments. It doesn't have to be ordained. Especially, it's really bad. Someone came to our Seattle Leisang temple, and at the door saw a monk or a nun, and they crossed their arms. What are you doing here? And the visitor stood outside the doors, or at the doors. I want to go in and pray to the Buddhas. Is it allowed? Sure. And they said, I've never seen a nun before would talk with their arms crossed. I've visited many other temples, and the bhikshus and bhikshunis always very kind and friendly. Welcome. Very happy that you come here to pray to the Buddhas. So, allowed or not allowed? Is there such a case that they're not allowed? And the face and the postures like that. And that was a big boss. And he has many employees, and he manages lots of people. And you treated him like that nun? Okay, one more case. A lay practitioner entered the temple to pray and bringing flowers and fruits and lots of stuffs. And we have several tables here. And they were about to put some of the longevity buns. And she said, you cannot place anything on the tables because it's for placing the longevity buns. And so the lay practitioner put the offerings on the table because she did not know. Of course, you could not place it here on the altar. It was prohibited to put offerings, but there are tables there, and she put it on the table and lit the incense to pray. And that person who said that cannot put that and got in and yelled, who placed it here? I told you cannot put it there. And then she took them down and put it where? On the ground? On the floor? Is that necessary? Just let her put them there, and after they pray, they would bring it back. Do you need to be so unfriendly, to be so... Who would dare to come in the future? They have to be so hostile. It's so bad here for us. This is the head center, the head temple of True Buddha School. And our hospitality is like that. It's so bad. The way Simu did, as soon as someone came to our house, they would be served tea. Would greet them and welcome them. That's why we have so many followers, because Simu works so hard to get the phones and to be kind and explain and always serve tea to anyone visiting. Master Tupten Dorji went to the Taiwan Lizang Temple. Nobody recognized him then. And lastly, Master Lian Wang saw Master Tupten Dorji. And Lian Wang was very friendly and politely asked him. He took a photo of Grandmaster paying homage to Master Tupten Dorje and showed it to Master Lian Wang. And then he realized, oh, that's the guru of my guru. And then he was very polite to him. But Master Tupten Dorje told me, nobody served me tea. I didn't even have any water to drink. How come we have so many followers? Because Simu served tea. Anybody visiting would be served tea. When I give spiritual consultation, each guest, each visitor would have a drink of tea. Our benefactors of the Leizang Temple, and when they come and visit, anybody here ever served the benefactors tea? Anybody here at the Seattle Leizang Temple? Please raise your hand if you have ever served anyone tea. Or you pour some of the Great Compassion water for them. Anybody else? I give them some bottled water. You need to know to be polite. The reason why True Buddha School prosper is because of our benefactors. Don't look down upon the lay practitioners. So the food that you eat is what kind of food? It's given by your benefactor. They're all your patrons, your benefactors. Everyone that comes to our Seattle temple is our patron. We have to be polite. This is the basic of being a human being. And you still ordained, and you still ordain, you should really be beaten. So, should we give that person a True Buddha lineage? If you truly gain spiritual union and has fruition, that depends on that person, not for us. If that person has cultivated spiritually, whether it's the noble lay practitioners or bhiksu, bhikshunis or upasaka, upasikas, and you have true attainments, and you want to accept disciples, whatever lineage you want to give, it's up to you. Grandmaster cannot meddle with it because you already have attainments. If it's fake, then that's the fake one. It's up to you. You decide for yourself. The second question. So a sadhaka that has lineage from Tibetan Buddhism, can they practice together with us? Can they see or hear the visualization of path instructions of the True Buddha School sadhana? So, if he relies on True Buddha School, a Tibetan Buddhist sadhaka relies on True Buddha school and receive empowerments, then sure, he can. But if he has not, then no, he's not allowed. Very simple answer. 3. So if masters or yogis from other schools have attended Grandmaster's ceremony and have gained spiritual union through his practice, but Grandmaster is just a guru and not the root guru, can he bestow lineage to Buddha school lineage to him? All these 3 questions talk about the mixture of True Buddha school lineage and other lineage. So the 3rd question. So if masters or yogis from other sects attended Grandmaster ceremonies and also has spiritual union with his yidam, and yet Grandmaster is just a guru to him and not the lineage guru, can he bestow the True Buddha school lineage to his disciples? Well, if he does not treat Grandmaster as his root guru, why would he grant True Buddha lineage to his disciples? If you have your own lineage already, why don't you just give that lineage? Why do you want to give the True Buddha lineage? That's such a mess. So, 莲花东东, we should beat 莲花东东from the joke. The title of elementary school composition, The Benefits of Drinking Tea. A student wrote, there are many benefits to drinking tea. My grandpa often goes to the tea house Wanhua, and his spirit is always very high and happy and smiling all day long. And then the score that the teacher gives is like, okay, let your grandma sign this. If you know about the Wanhua tea house in Taiwan, then you would know that this is a funny joke. Xiaoming told his dad, today is a history exam and it asks, who is Lao Tzu? And I couldn't answer, no matter what. And the dad said, oh Xiaoming, I raised you for nothing. And Xiaoming asked, why? And dad said, you see me all the time. And you couldn't even think of it, that Lao Tzu is me. Lao Tzu. But there's a different meaning of Lao Tzu, which is like the old man. But actually, the teacher was asking about Lao Tzu, the philosopher. Today we will continue on the Vajra Sutra. Sibuddhi asked Sakyamuni Buddha, right? When good man and good woman give rise to the mind of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, how should they dwell in their minds and how should they master their minds? I talk about Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi mind. And Lian Zu Master Lian Zu replied, the perfect realization and enlightenment. And then he took away a chanting bead, a wrist chanting bead.
那么现在问你，
Now I want to ask you.
我现在问哦，什么是
I'm
正
asking
等？
now.
什么是正觉？
What is the right?
这里面又有很深的意义在里面哦。
Mm.
什么叫做正等？
What is the right
什么叫做正觉？ 他已经讲了
quality and the right realization? So 正等正觉. Now it's
啊，
dissected.
莲祖上师已经讲了，正等
Master
正
Lian
觉
Zhu already said it's
正等正觉很好讲，
正等正觉. It's
它的
easy to
深意
say,
是什么？
but what is the
你
deep
必须要
meaning
知
or
道它的深
profundity
意，
of it?
它
You
最
have to
主要的
know
意义在
the
哪里？
most important meaning. Where is
释
it?
迦牟尼佛
Sakyamuni Buddha said
得到正等正觉的时候，
when he attained
还有三转法轮，
the perfect
大家
enlightenment,
知道的。
he
第一
did the
转法
three
轮
turnings of the Dharma
在鹿
wheels.
野
You
苑
know, the first one of the
转的
turning
是
was at the deer
小
park.
圣的
That's the wheel
集
of the
灭
small vehicle of the suffering, the accumulation of
就是
suffering,
第一转法轮在鹿野苑。
and the extinction of suffering, and the path.
我现在问你哦，
That's the first turning
大家
of the Dharma wheel at
转
the
法
deer
轮
park. Now let
在
me
哪里
ask
讲
you,
的？
where is the second
讲的是
turning
什
of
么？
the Dharma wheel, and what was he talking about? Where and what?
二转法轮在哪里讲的？啊？鹿野苑是一转法轮
The deer park was for the first turning.
啊，第一转法轮在鹿野苑讲的苦集灭道，
Talk
这是
about
这
the
已经
four
讲过
noble
了。
truths. Grandmaster have talked about that.
二转法轮在哪里讲？
And where was the second
你
turning of
学
the
佛那么
wheel?
多年，
You've been a Buddhist for many
释
years.
迦牟尼有三转法轮，现在问
And
二转
Sakyamuni
法轮
Buddha
在哪
did
里讲？
three turnings of the Dharma wheel.
竹林精舍，
At
他讲
the
二转法轮
Bamboo
在
Grove
王舍
Monastery.
城，王舍城讲二转法轮。
Wang Se-chen
好了，
is
那讲的是什么？
and what did he talk about?
波叶，还有呢，
About prajna,
它的意义在哪里？在无相，
and the meaning is in the
无相
no phenomena, formless,
没有这个
no
一个相，无相。
phenomena.
现在问你，三转法轮在哪里讲？
And now let me ask you, where is the third turning of the
在
Dharma
哪个
wheel?
城？哪一个城？讲的是什么？
And what did he talk about then? 三转法轮在莲华城， The third turning of Dharma wheel was at the
讲的是了义。
Lotus City, and he was talking about the ultimate.
所谓正等，什么是正等？
So what is 正等?
无
正
相
is the
就
correct.
是正等。
So
什么是正觉？
formless or no phenomena is
了
正
义
等,
就是正觉，
and the ultimate is 正
这很
觉.
深了吧？我讲的
了义 is 正觉.
啊，金
The
刚经本来
ultimate
就很
is the
深的
perfect
哦。
enlightenment. This is very deep and
了无相
profound, right? And Vajrasutra is very profound. So when it talks about no phenomena, that's Zeng Deng. So it talks about two wisdom. What is Zeng Deng, which is the correct equality. So the nature of equality. And the mirror-like wisdom, that's the ultimate. These are two very important key points in Buddhism. So Sakyamuni Buddha gave 3 turnings of the Bodhidharma and talk about the highest and perfect enlightenment. So it talk about the 4 noble truths. So sufferings, the accumulation of sufferings, the way to extinguish sufferings, and the path. So truth, that's the truth. So the 4 noble truths, that's the ultimate truth. And equality is also the ultimate truth. Perfect and the ultimate, that's also the truth. And formless or no phenomena is also the truth. And Vajrasutra is talking about this. Zeng Deng Zeng Jue, the correct equality and the perfect enlightenment. So you need to understand this. So as I continue to expose Vajrasutra, you will understand what is this Zeng Deng Zeng Jue. Third, chapter 3, the great vehicle, the proper great vehicle. Chapter 3, the great vehicle, what is that? Tantrayana is also one kind of the great vehicles. So remember, Tantrayana is also Mahayana or great vehicle. Great vehicle includes many different sects. So what is the proper, the true meaning, the ultimate, the authentic, the ultimate of the great vehicle? The Buddha told Subhuti, all bodhisattvas should master their minds in the following way. All sentient beings, whether they are born from eggs or wombs, through moisture or emanations, whether they are tangible or intangible, with or without thoughts, or without thoughts and no thoughts, I will liberate and deliver them without remains. However, no sentient beings are liberated or delivered. Why is this, Subhuti? Because if a bodhisattva holds a view of self, others, sentient beings, and lifespan, then he is not a bodhisattva. So this excerpt here has matched the correct equality and perfect enlightenment. So the Buddha said, whether born from eggs or wombs, through moisture or emanations. So let's talk about this first. Born from eggs. We ate tomato fried eggs. Eggs, that's ovum. When I was a soldier in the military, when I was in the military school, there People always like that. It's the tomato fried eggs. We often eat it here too. So as monks, it's about like the the soldiers. I'd eat tomato fried eggs every day. So born from eggs. I've been here for so long, but I've never eaten any turtle's eggs. So turtles are born from eggs too. They were hatched from eggs. That's why we also have turtle's eggs. That's the reason. Someone went to the restaurant to eat tortoise or turtles. There were 5 of them, and they called on the waitress. They wanted to eat turtle at the restaurant and asked the waitress to divide it into 5. And the waitress said, no, I cannot do it. It's impossible for me to do it. Why? Because but there are 6 turtle eggs and 5 for you. But turtle eggs in Chinese is to curse on the son of a bitch. So of 5 of you, there are 6 son of bitch or turtle's eggs. So that's born from eggs. And what is born through moisture? Many of them. All living beings in water, they are all called born through moisture. There are many of them. So a true vegetarian, they should not get vaccines. You know why? Because if you get vaccinated, then you kill the coronavirus. Because the virus also a living being. They're alive. Right? So the vegetarians just can die. You kill. Because if you get vaccinated, you kill them, right? They are born through moisture. Many viruses, many germs. A cup of clean water has 84,000 germs in it. If you don't chant mantra, you're killing them. You're performing the act of killing. Even the plants are also living beings. And you pull them out, and when you cut the carrots, they cried. So they don't cry if you pull them out. They can grow. They have cells. So you think not to kill, you want to be a vegetarian? That's wrong. You know who recommended eating vegetarian food is the Emperor Liang, Emperor Wu of the Liang dynasty. The Thai monks and nuns don't eat vegetarian food. They still maintained they're closest to the antique or to the ancient tradition, especially the Chinese Buddhism. It changed a lot. It changed by the Emperor Wu of Liang with abstain from eating meat and also to have like incense marks.
分别心太
In
重，
Thailand, they don't have those. Why
这梁武
do they
帝
ask us to have those
虽然是
marks
佛
or like
心，
incense burned? Emperor Wu
把
of
后
Liang,
宫搞得乱七八糟，
although he was an emperor, but
他请了
he
前朝
messed
一
up
个
the
最
whole
妖媚的
harem.
女人，你知道
He
他
married the
梁武
most
帝
gorgeous
把这个
woman of his kingdom
这个定都在健康的时候，他把前朝
when he
他
placed the
打败了以后，
capital.
他的兵徽全部由他收，
So whoever lost to him,
全部由梁
he
武帝
would
收走，
get
所以那时
all
候
the
正宫
concubines
正宫
to his
他后悔
harem.
梁武帝当皇帝，他说从此以后他也见不到梁武帝，
So his real wife, the first wife,
梁武帝
regretted
很好色的，
that Emperor Liang. You know,
你们知道梁武
ever
帝吗？
since she never saw him
他
again.
生了多少小
You
孩？
know, the Emperor Liang was it was a pig, a real pig, a
生了多少
very
小孩？
horny. And how many
他把最
children
妖
did
媚
he
的
have?
那个前朝最妖媚的
So the most gorgeous
的兵徽纳为己有，
gorgeous
生出两个女的，真是不报应
concubine,
那两个
and
女的哦，
and
跟他
he
的叔叔
occupied
跟
her
妹妹都有来往，
and then gave birth to
真的
two
是乱
daughters who had
乱伦。
incest with uncles,
梁
etc.
武帝很糟
So
糕
it
的，
was very
你
messy.
们
It
经
was
常
really
哦，那个
horrible.
那个送那个
And
梁王
Emperor
宝忏
Wu
来
was
拜忏，
really horrible.
梁王宝忏是拜忏用的，那不是他
And
的，
we
是用他的名
often
字。是梁武
use
帝教
the
那时候的出家人
Emperor Liang's
去签一本
repentance,
忏本，
but that did not
为了
belong
超
to
度他的
Emperor
一个
Wu of Liang. He
为了宠
asked
爱的妃子，
the monks and us to compile and to do it. It's not
梁武
his.
帝很糟糕的
It's
一
to
个
pray
人，
for
他
his
坐在这个
queen.
皇宫里面呢，看到一
He
个
was such a
很多
pig. He
宫
was
女
really
站在旁
bad,
边，
horrible. And
那
he
风
saw
吹起来，
many maids
把那个
in the
宫女的
palace,
裙子吹起来，
and there was a
看到那个宫女
breeze,
的大腿。
and
今
then
天晚上我就要
lift up their skirts and saw her leg, and he wanted her for that night.
你们知不知道梁武帝呀、
Do you
每一
know
次
the
他碰
Emperor
到
Wu
挫
of
折就
Liang?
要出家当和尚，
Every time he encountered
就
adversity,
跑到隔
he
壁的
became
同
a
泰寺
monk and went to
去
the
当和尚，
Tongtai temple
隔
next
壁
door.
耶，就在皇宫隔壁，他
So
盖了一
just
座
next to
寺
the
庙，
palace that he built a
就去
temple,
隔壁当和尚，
and he
那
became
就
a monk
那个
there.
所有的那个臣子就去把他拉回来，
And then all of his
拉回来，
ministers
好
got
了，
him
他
back,
就当皇帝。
and then he became a king, an
等他
emperor
碰到
again.
挫折，又去当
And
和尚，
then every time he
又把他拉
encountered
回来。
a problem, he would become a monk again. And then they
啊，
got
等
him
到第
back
三
again.
次又去当
And
和
then
尚，
the third
又
time
把
he
他拉
became a
回来，
monk again, and they got him back again.
真是报应啊！
That's
就到最后他
retribution.
饿死在皇宫。
So lastly, he died of hunger in the palace.
讲到哪里去了？
Where was I?
我不批评梁武帝，我告诉你，梁武帝是佛心天子，他盖了很多寺庙。
I don't criticize Emperor Wu of Liang. He was
有胎
天
生啊，
son
出
of
生
God
啊，
that built lots of temples.
有吃素，谁弄的？
So born from
梁武帝。
wombs through moisture.
点戒疤谁弄的？梁武
So
帝。
being
受命于
vegetarian
佛教就是
was
由
set
他
up
这样
by
子弄
Emperor
才
Wu of
会
Liang.
点戒疤，才有
And
吃素。
then the incense burn,
这是梁武
that's
帝
also set up by Emperor Wu of Liang. So that's why the Chinese
化
Buddhism
身，
became
化
what
身
it is today.
从空
So
气中变化出来的。
born through emanations. It's from breath.
COVID-19 这些细菌呢，
All this
从空气中
COVID-19
出来的
virus
化生的，它
came
会
from
变
the
种啊，
air.
你
They were
知道吗？
emanated
完全
and they
假
can
的，早晚
transform,
都知道变
mutated.
种。
If you are isolated at home, you become mutated to become fat, become heavy.
它会变种的，化生了。
So emanations, it can transform. So with the combination of two, it would change. That's emanation.
还有一个是胎生，我们人是胎生。
And then born from wombs, like human beings and many animals
动物也是胎生，
too.
动物是卵。
And there are also many animals born from eggs. Birds and avians also from eggs. But there are many animals born from wombs too.
什么呀？讲这个是什么意思？
So what
平等。
does it mean? Equality. Why Buddha talk about this? It's about equality. Whether they're tangible, intangible, with or without thoughts, or without thoughts and no thoughts, I will liberate and deliver them without remains. That's equality. So what is the nirvana without remains?
什么是无余涅槃？问大家。我讲过的。
What is? I have talked about
哪一
this.
个举手回答无余涅槃？啊，我讲过了，你们都记不得啊？什么是无余涅槃？没有生的因缘。
There is no causes or conditions to be born, or no causes and conditions to cease or to die. So that nirvana without remains. You will not be born again and you will not die again. That's called nirvana without remains.
比我这个老人家的记忆力不好的还更记忆力不好。
So you have even worse memory than this old man that has bad memory.
问您，若有色，这个色
So whether they're tangible or has form, what this form mean?
这个色不是好色的色。
This form here is not about sex.
活色，活色。
The master speaking Cantonese about loving sex or tasting good.
是好吃啊，好吃跟好色不一样。你讲什么是好色？好色。
How do you say it?
好色。哦，叫好色。
So sex maniac is not this, okay? So it has forms.
若无色，没有形象。
Or no forms.
你说什么是没有形象的？
So what
细菌啊。
don't have forms?
你看得见吗？没有形象啊。
So what don't have forms? Like viruses or germs. But coronavirus has form. It's round and it has a wear crown. You can see it under the not telescope. Microscope. So ghosts have no forms. So the Bardo spirits also have no forms, right? So with thoughts, those with thoughts or those without thoughts, what things have no thoughts? Even plants have thoughts. Rocks have no thoughts. But strictly speaking, they have. Look at a gem, a jewel. they have some magnetic field. If you cut it in half, the magnetic field would decrease by half. It will not be shiny anymore. Or the other half would have, the other half don't. That's proven scientifically. It's hard to find things with no forms, or without thoughts and no thoughts. So in between, no thoughts and no thoughts. So sometimes you have thoughts, sometimes you don't. Sakyamuni Buddha will liberate and deliver them to nirvana without remains. I had explained the nirvana without remains. So the one with no causes and conditions to be born or to die. And extinction and delivered. So of the innumerable sentient beings, so he had liberated and delivered innumerable sentient beings. Who would like to do that? There was a bodhisattva, a person, a bodhisattva that's doing that. He vowed in front of many Buddhas that I want to liberate and deliver all sentient beings. If I don't liberate and deliver them, if I don't apply my vow, my head would split. That's Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, who made this vow in front of all the Buddhas. That was called Sijidifo. So Si, oh jeez, 100 million eons Buddhas. So many Buddhas. So if he abandoned his vow, then his head would split into pieces. So Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva was extremely compassionate, and the number of sentient beings he delivered is the most. That's all for today. Do you know why? This is for Chinese. That on the 1st of the 7th lunar month, the gates to hell is open, and yet the universal deliverance is on the 15th of the 7th month. You know why? You don't know? And the master replied, because they have to be isolated for 14 days. COVID-19. Oh, so the pandemic these days is incredible. Everything has to be 14 days. This is a joke, only meaningful to Chinese.
卫生纸。
It's okay.
小美呢问阿嬷，28是什么店啊？阿嬷讲，就在转角那一家。
Yeah, it's more only
小美
meaningful in
说
Chinese.
阿嬷，你说的是那一家七乘四吗？阿嬷讲说，对的，就是七乘四，因为七乘
Go
四
to
就
the
是
shop
28
called
嘛。
28 to buy something. And where's 28?
七乘四，
It's over there, around the corner.
那
And but
我
isn't
们
that
的台
called
湾很多的
7
七
times
乘四
4?
嘛，对不对？
But it's a
香港怎么样？
homophone of the other name.
香港也有七乘四。
Yeah, but 7 times 4 isn't that 28? So just go to 28. And there are
所以阿
many
嬷
chain
讲说要
stores
到28的店，
in Taiwan called that
七是
sounds
28
like 7 times 4.
啊，今天就讲到这里。
That's
我
all
们
for
给
tonight on Money Baby Home.